Welcome to Tell Me Your Story with Dennis Henson. This is a brand new series we hope that you will enjoy, and it's called Body of Health. Dennis, welcome, and let us start out by telling people about, I guess best way to put it is, our disclaimer.
Okay. Well, Richard, thank you so much for having me on this series. I'm really excited about doing this, but I think it's very important that everyone understand that neither of us are medical doctors or have any kind of medical training. We are just people who are very interested in health and being able to get better faster so that if you have some problem, that gives you a place to go to find things that have worked for other people that may help you or they may not, but there'll be something worthwhile checking out.
Body of Health is going to be here every week. The website that we're going to suggest you go to for information, number one website is dennisjhenson.com, which we will have in the audio and video podcast videocast. But there's also a Facebook location, and basically it's facebook.com/groups/body of health. Once again, facebook.com/groups, that's plural, groups/body of health. We hope that you will go there to check out the information that Dennis has provided with us. And with that, we move into our conversation about Body of Health. Welcome to Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. This is the Body of Health series with Dennis Henson. I'm Reverend Dr. D, and Dennis, got an interesting program today. Glad to have you with us.
Thank you, Richard. I really appreciate you having me.
And that little yawn was for effect, ladies and gentlemen, because we're going to be talking about sleep. And I'll tell you what, if you've got some underlying conditions that kind of wake you up in the middle of the night and then you go back to sleep and then you wake up again, you're not getting good sleep. So today, and for probably a couple of programs, we're going to be talking about bridging the gap between trying to sleep and actually sleeping. And that's interesting, Dennis, because I know that somebody asked me just the other day, Richard, do you take short little power naps, during the day? Do you maybe just lay down for, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes and so forth? Well, we're going to talk today about the science behind sleeping and what it really means. And is it just downtime or is it something else? What I find fascinating, Dennis, is that the one aspect of sleep that I seem to be missing most of the time, and I'm going to say 95 to 98% of the time, is dreaming, which I know we'll get into down the road. But there are those who say that if you're dreaming or you're in that REM state, that you're really sleeping. So let's talk about the difference between, trying to sleep and actually sleeping. What's it all about?
Well, first of all, Richard, I think it's important that we mention I'm not a doctor, and I don't haven't had any medical training of any kind. That the things that we're going to be discussing today are just based on my personal experience, and everyone's different. So they may work for you and they may not, but if you decide to try any of them, I strongly suggest that you speak with your physician and get their opinion. But
Absolutely.
having said that, let's just jump right in. I believe getting 7 or 8 hours of high quality sleep each night is the ultimate biological reset for your body, because during those hours, your brain flushes out toxins and consolidates memories, while your body focuses on cellular repair and hormonal balance. So, window of rest is a requirement for emotional stability, cognitive clarity, and physical health.
Well, it's a challenge for some folks because of some of the things that they've either done prior to sleep, even a few hours prior to sleep, or that they've they've ingested, drank, or ate. And sometimes people are eating later and later at night before they go to sleep. And of course, then your body is trying to digest and all those kinds of things you've mentioned and so forth. So that puts it into the perspective for me anyway. What we're talking about is in perspective for me. I understand what you're saying, but we want to get the high quality rest. It make again, I keep going back to all kinds of these computer analogies. When there's a problem with your computer and you can't resolve it through diagnostics, you shut it down or you reboot. Are we talking about sleep in that context? It's sort of that's sort of the reboot for our biochemical machine, so to speak.
It absolutely is. Wouldn't it be great if you could just lay down every night and go to sleep, get up the next morning, and everything would be fine? You sleep the entire night. Well, that's the way it's supposed to be,
Hmm.
but it doesn't always happen that way. And my problem in the past has been at I go to bed, maybe I go to sleep, or maybe I just lay there and twist and turn. That's the first problem. The second problem is after I get to sleep, then 3 o'clock in the morning comes and I'm wide awake again. And I understand that a lot of people have this same problem. They know they need to sleep, they want to sleep, but when it's time to go to bed, they're not sleepy, so maybe they stay up and watch TV for an extra hour or two, or uh, I like to look at the little things on Instagram or the YouTube reels. My
You're
wife and
not
I can sit
alone.
there for 2 or 3 hours and flip through those. But you're doing those when you should be sleeping, and it feels okay at the time. But then the next morning you wake up and you're just groggy and you feel terrible all through the day. And you think, if I could just get a nap, I would feel better. So, in order to change that around, you need to make some changes in your daily schedule. You want to go to bed at the same time every single day, every single night, and get up at the same time every morning, even on the weekends when you don't have to. And some of you are probably saying, well, that's the no school day. You get to sleep late. But sleeping late is actually not a good idea because it disrupts your sleep cycle. So, another change you need to make is when within 30 minutes from the time that you get out of the bed, you need to be looking at a bright sky,
Hmm.
not right into the sun. That's not telling you to look directly into the sun.
Right.
That probably is not a great idea, although some people say it is. But I'm not one of those. But you do need to be looking into the bright sky. But the problem with me is I get up at 4:30, and in 30 minutes, there's no bright sky. The sun has not come up yet. So I substitute grounding for that. And I highly suggest that. And then when the sun does come up, I go out and look at the sky and relax, and maybe I do some more grounding. But as soon as you can make contact with nature after you get up, the better, because it resets your sleep timer so that when it comes time to go to sleep, your body is ready.
Mm.
Uh, you mentioned napping earlier.
Hmm.
A 20-minute nap in after lunch is probably a pretty good idea, or a 90-minute nap. But if you sleep for 45 minutes, it kicks in a problem. It Well, anyway, it makes you groggy.
Hmm.
Have you
Yeah.
ever slept after lunch and you slept almost an hour and you woke up and then the rest of the day you felt like, oh, I wish I hadn't taken that nap because I've kind of got a headache and I don't feel that great. Had you had just done 20 minutes, you'd be fine.
Yeah.
Or if you'd slept for 90 minutes, you'd be fine. But there's a little area in there that you want to avoid.
Yeah. And it sounds to me like the Mexican culture has had it right all along when we have heard about the siesta in the
Right,
afternoon.
right. Another thing you can do to help with sleep is stop eating 2 hours before you plan to go to bed. And the reason for that is you don't want to have your digestive system working really hard while you're trying to go to sleep. When you go to sleep, it's about resting,
Mm.
not working. And the digestive system is still working if you just ate something heavy just before you went to bed. And then the last thing is to lower the lights and don't look at any blue screens or TV or computer or cell phone
Hmm.
uh, within the last 60 minutes before you go to bed. Now, that may be hard to do for someone. They like to watch TV till the last possible second or look at their phone and then go hop into bed. It would be much better if you found a book or something that you like and just read for a few minutes and then retire. But anyway, that's the daily change. And
Right.
it may not be that easy, but and that's a lot to remember. I know we're talking a lot here, and people think, well, that might be something I want to do, but I'll forget it. Well, all of this is going to be uh, available to you at dennisjhenson.com after this program, along with
Absolutely.
all the other shows that we've done. So,
Exactly.
yeah, you'll be able to go back and check this out and use some of it if you'd like.
Yeah. Well, on those last two, basically stop eating. I will tell you a personal example. Just last night, as we're sitting there watching TV in bed, I got a little hungry, but I wanted to eat something that wasn't going to do damage to my blood sugar and so forth. And so I got a little something, very little, and probably within an hour, we shut the lights off, shut the TV off, and tried to sleep. Obviously, not a good idea based upon what we're talking about here. Then this other one here talking about lowering the lights and so forth. We fortunately have a dimmer switch on the lights in our bedroom. So we can actually lower those lights even though we got the TV on and of course it's blaring. But one of the other elements too is, you talk about, watching your screen and so forth. Well, I don't watch my screen. I put my earbud in my ear and then I put it on, it's on auto scroll, and I put
Right.
the phone over on the charger and I'm listening to the comedy. I'm listening to the music. So fortunately, on one hand, I am not, my eyes are closed and I'm not looking at the screens. However, I'm still inputting into my ear. So that may be something I need to take a look at as well. Another thing we need to take a look at is a little pause here. And we're going to say where this is the Body of Health series with Dennis Henson and yours truly, Richard Dugan. And of course, Dennis has already stated this that neither of us are doctors, but what we're trying to do is provide you information and our observations and experiences to help you live an optimal life on the health and wellness level. And we hope that you will take time to do that by going to dennisjhenson.com as well. And let's see what we can do. I have to tell you, Dennis, that I now have the benefit, if you will, of a primary care physician here where we live. But unfortunately, I'm finding out stuff that I didn't want to know, but better that I know now and take care of it. And so I'm working on all of those different aspects, and I hope that folks will help us out here. Hey, what we're going to do is take a little pause here and remind you this is the Body of Health. This is Tell Me Your Story. He's Dennis Henson. I'm Richard Dugan, Reverend Dr. D, and this is Tell Me Your Story. We are going to move into our next, shall we say, realm, if you will, here talking about, getting a proper sleep and getting the proper rest that you need, 7 or 8 hours. And I'll tell you, Dennis, it doesn't matter what time I go to sleep. I usually still wake up around 6 or 7, although there was a period of time, maybe in December, early January, I couldn't believe it when I would look at the clock and I'd open my eyes and the daylight was coming through the window and it was 8 or 9 o'clock. And I'm thinking, what is that all about? I usually get up at 6 or the cats will wake me and so forth. But there's an element here that's so important, and it's maybe one of those curiosities in terms of what we do before we go to sleep at night in particular. We've got a segment here about exercise and nutrition, and we often hear that exercise helps you to sleep, but can the timing actually work against us? And what about what we're putting into our bodies during the day, not 2 hours prior to sleeping, but for breakfast, for lunch, and so forth, and snacks and so forth?
Well, what I've found is that the timing of the exercise is very important. You should try to do your exercise at peak sunlight hours. And if at all possible, do them in the sunlight for the vitamin D. Uh, Avoid doing high intensity workouts 2 to 3 hours before bed. You want to start your downward roll 2 to 3 hours, and then by the time it's time to go to sleep, uh, your body temperature has started to drop, because if it doesn't, you won't go to sleep.
Mm.
So you want to do, if you're going to do exercises later on in the day, they need to be stretching or yoga or something that's not so intensive. You need to do the high intensive intermittent training workouts. They're really good for your sleep, but you just don't want to do them later in the day when it's closer to time to go to bed. As far as food and drink goes, um, if you can eat foods that contain natural melatonin, now melatonin, I can pronounce that,
Hmm.
melatonin and tryptophan, especially later in the day, you'll get to sleep better. Both of those things relax you and make you calm. And, I used to love to eat turkey sandwiches. I'd have turkey sandwiches for lunch. And then all afternoon, I would feel drowsy. And I thought, well, what happened? They're full of tryptophan. So they're going to make you a little drowsy. Well, it's better to have those for dinner rather than breakfast or lunch. But you want to get your melatonin and tryptophan naturally rather than taking a melatonin tablet. If you take the tablets, I guess they're okay. They're not dangerous, but if you can get your if you can get them naturally, you're going to sleep a lot better, which is the whole idea. Now, let's talk about what you drink. If you're going to drink coffee, I don't drink coffee. I drink something else that tastes
Hmm.
like coffee. I mean, like the mushroom blend of something, or uh, decaf. But mostly I drink things that have cacao. You know.
Hmm.
Uh, but if you drink caffeine after 12 o'clock, the half life is longer than your sleep cycle. So you're asking for a disruption in REM sleeping. So, and same way with alcohol. And I know most people, a lot of people want to come home and have a beer and have a drink, drink some wine. Well, for your sleep, that's not really a good idea. And then drinking in the morning is not a good idea either. So I guess the best thing to do is stop drinking altogether. You just need to know this. You can do what you want to with it. Hydration management.
Mm.
Of course, you need to be hydrated.
Yeah.
You got all these fluids in your body that need hydration, and the best way to get it is with Celtic salt and water. You need to drink a lot of water, and you need to have Celtic salt with the water so that you get fully hydrated, but not right before bed. If you do that right before bed, you're asking your body to wake up in the middle of the night, and that may be okay, but if you don't go right back to sleep, you've disrupted your cycle. The whole next day, you're not going to be at your peak. You're going to be drowsy. You may have a headache. So it's just something to keep in mind. So cut back your hydration to at least 2 hours before bed. If you're going to take some kind of a pill or something, drink it with warm water or hot water. I like to put cloves in it, heat up some water with cloves. So it's like clove tea, and just use as little of it as you possibly can to get the pill down. which, eliminates having to get up in the middle of the night. Another
I
thing you can do is sip herbal tea right before bed. Now, I don't mean drink a whole cup of herbal tea or two or three cups. I'm talking about sipping herbal
hmm
tea, chamomile or something else that's relaxing will also help you with your sleep.
It's some things that I have not really gotten into, and not to say that I haven't had tea over the course of my life, but it was not something that I really enjoyed in that respect. But I guess it's because I haven't found the right tea yet and so I need to find this. Now, I know there's, for example, there's this one tea and a great flavor that I did have some time ago. Hibiscus has a great flavor to it, and so
Yes.
forth. But I get what your point is. But also, I would think too that because you're sipping this tea, and odds are it's going to be, hot to warm, there's got to be a soothing aspect to the body as well. I wanted to go back though to this issue of exercising and the body temperature needing to come down. And I'm thinking, well, we talked in a previous program about, of course, high intensity exercise, but then we also talked about these ice baths or a cold shower. Would that be something that, let's just say we were exercising 3 or 4 hours prior to bedtime? Would that be a good thing to do, or is it better to allow the body to cool down, shall we say, naturally? What's your perspective?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because in our final segment today, we're going to cover that thoroughly because there's kind of a question. Should I take a cold shower before I go to bed or should I take a warm shower? And we're going to answer that a little bit later on. So be sure to stay tuned
Uh,
to when we get to that section.
Hey, perfect segue for us because it's time now for us to take a pause here and let you know, folks, that you are listening to and watching Tell Me Your Story Body of Health series here on the program that brings you new paradigms for a new world. And I'm looking forward to our next segment because I get to break out my toolbox. That's right. We're going to find out more about that as we continue here with Dennis Henson and yours truly, Reverend Dr. D, here on the Body of Health series on the program that brings you new paradigms for a new world, giving you choices, lots of choices, to help make your dreams come true, to help to improve what health you do have. And it may be great, but we need to make sure that we stay conscious in terms of maintaining our good health. And we're going to do more of that as we continue here on Tell Me Your Story. It's time now to don the hard hat and the tool belt and pull out the old toolkit because we've got some supplements and over the counter stuff. We can go into the pharmacy and walk up and down the aisles. And Dennis, there are all kinds of things that we could take. And part of me feels like what we've already talked about is the way to go because when you start even if it's supplements, I mean, even if I was to find melatonin or L-tryptophan on the counter, over the counter, um, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But wouldn't it be better to find those kinds of foods, like you mentioned earlier, with turkey and almonds, and I noticed you mentioned here tart cherries. That's just three of possible things that we could utilize. Well, talk to us a little bit about what we need to be thinking about. I mean, if we are there in the old CVS aisle looking for ways to sleep.
Well, Richard, there's, like you said, an awful lot of choices, but there are certain things that really work well, and that's the ones we want to talk about.
Okay.
Uh, we've mentioned melatonin already several times, and
hmm
you can go to the drugstore and buy melatonin tablets, and you can take you can take several of them, and they will help you sleep. The problem is, what are you going to feel like the next day?
Yeah.
So if I've tried it all, so I take a lot of melatonin, I wake up the next day with a headache, and I don't feel very well because I didn't sleep all that well.
Hmm.
Well, melatonin is good for some things, and relaxation is one of them, and helping you get that initial sleep. but not necessarily getting you the full deep kind of REM sleep that you really require. So my suggestion is not to purchase melatonin. My suggestion is to try to get melatonin in the foods that you eat. Now, this next one is I suggest you do use this because I use it every single day and it works. It's
Hmm.
magnesium. But you know, there are lots of kinds of magnesium, three main kinds. And those other two do not help you sleep. I mean, they help you some, but unless you're getting magnesium glutamate, you're just getting the laxative.
Yeah.
You're just, it's got great minerals and it helps, and everyone needs magnesium. Good for your heart. Those others are good for your heart, but we're talking about sleep. If you want to take magnesium for sleep, and I do suggest that you do take this one, you get magnesium glutamate. And where are you going to get that? Well, it's so important. There are only a few things that I put on dennisjhenson.com because people have a hard time finding them. And it's not up yet, but it's the next product that I'm putting up after the mushroom coffee. The mushroom coffee helps you wake up and feel good the entire day.
Hmm.
And then the magnesium glutamate is going to help you sleep so that you'll feel good the next day. So I do suggest that you get that one. The
And there's
next
also an added benefit to that as well because I guess maybe as we get older, sometimes in the middle of the night we get these leg cramps. I
Right.
remember even as a kid getting those Charlie horses in the calves, and
Yes,
and even when I wake up the next morning, the calf still hurts, and so forth. So this will help to alleviate that.
exactly.
So we've got then what's the next one?
Well, L-theanine is next, and it's found in green tea. You know, if you study longevity, you're going to hear green tea all of the time. The people that live in countries where people live to be over 100 and still feel good
Hmm.
all drink a lot of green tea. So there are different products that are made from green tea. There are drinks that you can drink that's ground green tea leaves, and you actually take the leaves themselves. So I think green tea is really good for you, especially to be taken during the day, throughout the day. It's not something that you just take right before you go to sleep. It's something that you try to work into your diet and get as much of it in your body as you can if your body will tolerate green tea.
Right.
Some people, it doesn't sit well with them, and I'm one of those. So green tea is, I don't do it, but I do highly recommend it because it's worked with so many other people.
Right.
Now, if you can get it in your food, then it's different. A lot of times, if you're taking things with food, your body reacts differently to it. But if I take a pill that's filled with green tea or a spoonful or something, that it doesn't work that well for me.
Mm,
These next ones are vitamins. Vitamin D3, the sunshine vitamin, you should take that throughout the day.
right.
Whether you get
And
sun, whether you get sunshine or not, you still need to take vitamin D3.
right. Now, one of the elements here, we've talked about this and we make this disclaimer that you do not want to look into the sun. But I have a modification to that. Close your eyes and face the sun and let the sunlight hit your face. Keep your eyes closed. You won't damage your eyes because you've got your lids closed. If you can do that. I've seen these commercials where there's people standing out in a meadow and they've got their arms spread wide and their heads tilted back and their faces facing the sun and their eyes closed and they're smiling away. Again, not being a medical doctor, I'm not saying necessarily do that, but it's something I have done even as a kid when we're running around outside and it just feels so good on the face and now I don't have any hair on the top of my head, so it feels pretty good too, as long as I'm not out there too long. So that's the sunshine vitamin, vitamin D3. What about this is one that's interesting for me. There's what's referred, there are all different numbers associated with vitamin B. And then there's some
Right.
other letters in there as well that we'll talk about. What about the vitamin B's? One, two, three, four, five, or how many ever numbers there are.
Well, the best way, I feel the best way to get your B3, I mean your B, is B complex because it has all of them. It
Mm-hmm.
has 3, 4, 5, 6, 12. Each one of them is in there. So take those throughout the day. I don't think you can get too much C. Now, you can get too much E, you can probably get too much of some of the B's, but you can't get too much C. So you can take C as much as you can tolerate.
Mm-hmm.
There's a thing called the vitamin C flush, which means your body gets to the point where it can't tolerate anymore. My belief is you need to stay right below that. So if you've never done the vitamin C flush, I would suggest that you check it out and plan to do it quarterly because it really makes your system run the way it's supposed to. It eliminates a lot of digestive problems and helps with a number of other things, your immune system and
Yeah.
so forth, but it also helps you sleep.
Yeah.
So when it comes to vitamins, D3 is a must. If you don't do any other vitamins, you need to take D3 or get in the sun. If there's a day that's not sunny, then you definitely need to take. And if I tell you how much I take, I would probably not be able to air this
I hear
because
you.
it's so important. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
if you have a heart attack or a stroke, the first thing they do when you go to the hospital is give you vitamin D3 in
Hmm.
massive amounts.
Yeah.
So it must have some good, something good must be going on there.
Absolutely.
Take a multiple vitamin every day, you know, a good one,
Yeah.
not a
That-
cheap, a really good one.
Right. Now there's one vitamin here that if I'm remembering, and my mother had us taking certain vitamins, and one in particular, if I am correct here, it's vitamin E, but it's that is also found in like fish oil. Am I correct? Am I remembering correctly?
Well, fish oil is really important. I don't know if it's important for sleeping, but
Sure.
you can get things in fish oil. If your joints, you know, I'm 80, I'm not 80, I'm 78, and sometimes my knees begin to feel like when I'm going up and down the stairs, I can feel my knees, and I think, well, I just need to increase my fish oil. Now, I'm allergic to seafood, and I was really hesitant to do the fish oil. But once I realized that it didn't have that effect, any effect on me, it just helped. If I add a couple of fish oil pills, my
Hmm.
knees stop hurting.
Mm,
And if your knees are hurting, you probably can't sleep. So that's another way it will help you sleep.
absolutely. Absolutely. And the next one here, if I'm correct, and it sounds, if I'm remembering this one also, I'm really testing my memory here. This is actually coming from a root. I could be wrong on
Yes,
this. Valerian root.
yes,
Okay. Tell us about
yes.
this aid to
Well,
sleep.
it's just another aid. It's just another thing that you can add to your, you know, arsenal of things that you want to do. It's not at the top of the list, but it helps. And anything that will help over a period of time, it all builds up, and then you're able to sleep. Um, the next one, nitric oxide,
Mm.
is good for so many different things. Earlier, when we were talking, you were mentioning your blood sugar.
Hmm.
Oh, this nitric oxide saved my life. I was having stroke after stroke after stroke. I was dying.
Mm.
And my wife got a recommendation to go to this doctor that travels the nation. She just happened to be in the Dallas Fort Worth area the next day. And we went, and she said, if you don't start taking nitric oxide, you're going to be dead, and it's not going to take long. And so I started taking it in massive amounts. I mean, I took it way more than the recommendation. I stopped having strokes. I got my balance back.
Mm.
I got my life back. I can think, you know, I can go out and do things. So I'm really high on this stuff.
Mm.
It lowers physical tension. It boosts nasal breathing. This is the best part. It makes your blood vessels, arteries, and veins supple. It makes them soft so that if you have restrictions from cholesterol or hardening of arteries, it opens those up and smooths them out and repairs the problems that's causing the cholesterol to grow. Uh, we after my stroke, I started going to Mexico because it's cheaper to get sonograms because I had blockage in my artery. And every 6 months we go. And I started taking this, and I went back to the doctor. They did a sonogram, and he said, "Is this the same guy? Are we talking about the same person?" My blockage had opened up so much he couldn't believe it was me. He took the last pictures and he looked at these pictures and he said, whatever you're doing, don't stop." And that was in 2018. What is this? 26? That's 8 years
26,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't even go anymore because I don't have any. I mean, I don't have that problem anymore. And it's all because I started taking this. And of course, it helps you sleep too.
Hmm.
And then the last one is, and you'll never believe this, sea salt. Now, I use Celtic salt. Every time I drink water, if I want to be hydrated, take a pinch of Celtic salt, put it under your tongue, and drink it, and you'll hydrate several times faster than just plain water. It promotes muscle relaxation, and listen to this, it lowers bad cholesterol. That would be helpful to anyone. So that's something that I do highly suggest.
Mm. Well, I know that having just seen my latest labs, I've got some work to do. There's no question about it. I'm not dying, fortunately, but there is a whole lot of room for improvement, and that's where I am headed myself, is to that improvement. So I hope you folks will, sort of take our advice, so to speak, and consider the possibilities that are inherent with taking care of your health and well being. We're going to talk more about all of these things as we continue talking here on Body of Health. This is the series with Dennis Henson and yours truly, Richard Dugan. And we are going to keep moving forward as you keep tuned in to this program. Tell me your story, Body of Health here with Dennis Henson and yours truly, Richard Dugan. Reverend Dr. D, stay with us. This is the Body of Health. I am here with Dennis Henson. I'm Reverend Dr. D, if you're just joining us, and we're talking about sleep. Real sleep, I mean, really getting some good sleep. But right now, we're talking about some sleep aids. And of course, we did talk about, going up and down the in the pharmacy, if you will, or the drugstore looking for different things. What about and it was funny too because I saw this and I'm going, what does that stand for? What about OTC, which I finally figured out was over the counter? I can't believe I had to do that. Sleep aids. What about those? Because it seems to me that they don't necessarily add those vitamins and nutrients per se, but that they aren't necessarily overly harmful to the body, especially if you are having trouble getting that real, genuine sleep with the REM.
Well, there's good ones and bad ones. All right. There's a new one that's come out. It's called Relaxium. And what it's done is taken all the things that we just talked about and put them in a pill,
Mm.
which is great if you don't have side effects. If you take the pill and it helps you sleep, then it's wonderful because everything in it is good stuff. I mean, I couldn't find anything in there that I wouldn't recommend, except it's got ashwagandha in it and melatonin. And if I take those, I'll end up with a headache the next morning.
Mm.
So if you can take relax him and wake up the next day and feel really good and refreshed, I think that's a pretty good option. I really do. Now, the next option is I wouldn't do this at all, and that's using an antihistamine PM meds. You know, there used to be you would take Alka-Seltzer PM or Alka-Seltzer, and yeah, Alka-Seltzer cold. If you took Alka-Seltzer cold, you're going to go to sleep, and you're going to sleep all night long. And you're going to think, well, why don't they just sell this? Well, now if you take Alka-Seltzer cold, you don't go to sleep anymore because they took that out. It wasn't good for you. It was, it was it was helping you sleep okay, but it was doing a lot of other things that it shouldn't have done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would not recommend taking antihistamines to sleep. They will help you sleep, but over time they lose their effectiveness. Now what you're going to do? You're addicted to something that don't work and you're not sleeping. So that's really not a good option.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I hear you.
things, yeah, they may help you some, uh, but they may give you headaches.
Yeah.
Any over-the-counter drug, you just have to, you know, I wouldn't take that. I would try the Relaxium and I would try any pill that had the things that we mentioned before, but see how you feel the next day. If you have a hangover, don't do it anymore. Something's wrong.
Well, we're going to move into this next segment here having to do with our routine and so forth. I mean, both the physical as well as eating and drinking and what have you. I just moved into a new house. This conversation we're having on this particular program, as well as adding the others that we've already done, and of course, what's coming, I am going to have to completely, shall we say, rewrite the script for myself when it comes to improving my health because it's not that my way of doing things was horrible, but I don't think that I can modify my current routine. I have to completely rewrite it, and that's going to take one thing in particular. That's going to take my willpower to do that. So let's talk a little bit about these supplements and all these good things. Is there anything else that we can do to help to sleep?
Well, even if you don't do all the things we just mentioned, you can do these things and they will help you. The ideal temperature is 65 degrees, which is wonderful. I love it. 65 degrees is wonderful. Unfortunately, my wife wants it to be 75. And so she usually wins that argument. But anyway, if you can get the room really cool, you'll sleep better. The next thing is make sure it's totally dark. I have this mask that I wear sometimes that blocks out all if even if there's a night light on, just some little light that's affecting your sleep, whether you know it or not. And then total quiet. So you can't hear anything. You can, I use headphones and there's a frequency. You want to look the frequency up. Um, there's a sleep frequency. So if you go to YouTube and type in sleep frequency, there's 4 or 5 different options. You can pick whichever one you want. There's also the music that centers around these frequencies. Those help also. But the very best thing, better than those, is total quiet. Nothing. You don't hear anything, you sleep a lot better.
Mm.
And this last one is amazing to me. Cozy up to something that you love. It could be your husband or your wife or your dog or your cat, if you can convince your cat to cuddle up with you. But cuddling really, it relaxes you, it makes you feel safe, and it is a shortcut to going to
Well,
sleep. And you have to be still because
yeah.
they don't want you moving around.
Well, cats don't want you. Dogs don't care. We've had both, and now we have 3 cats, and 2 of them come up between our two pillows, and they will curl up with each other and in between us. And I got to tell you, there's nothing else like it. Now,
Right.
all this great stuff, it's fantastic. Um, but let's talk about sort of last ditch efforts. If let's say 2 a.m. I'm not getting up to relieve myself or anything, but I just can't get to sleep. But I've done all this other stuff.
Well, these are drastic measures, but let's say that you have an important meeting the next day and you really need to sleep, but you don't feel sleepy. These things will really help you, but it's kind of taking it. You have to do a little extra. The first one is the ice cube trick. Go down to the refrigerator, open the freezer, get out two ice cubes, put one in each hand, set the clock, hold them for 45 seconds. That is amazing. Now, after about 30 seconds, you're going to think those last 15 seconds or an hour and a half because it starts to really hurt. So
Yeah.
you want to be close to a sink or something. So when you're 45 seconds up, you can throw those away. So
Yeah.
that's one thing. That's just part of a regimen.
Right.
Okay.
Well, now, before because we're getting short on time here, the second one we've talked about the 521 breathing system, and folks can go to our previous programs and
Yes.
dennisjhenson.com and get that information, as well as the other one, which is a cold shower. And we encourage you to do that. And we're going to wrap things up here on Tell Me Your Story, the Body of Health series with Dennis Henson and Reverend Dr. D. Richard Dugan here on this program, New Paradigms for a New World. Again, this is Tell Me Your Story. We're back here and wrapping things up here, Dennis. And you've got something else regarding this whole freezing thing. If not in your hands, where else?
The thing that I've found that works best to get you to sleep the fastest is taking a cold hand towel. In the winter, it's easy to get it cold. Just run the cold water on it. If it's in the summer, you may have to put ice cubes in it. I wouldn't suggest you use plastic, but get something really cold, a wash towel, and put it over your forehead and your eyes. It does two things: closes out, you're totally dark, and it's freezing cold on your eyes and forehead. And so you get under the cover and you're trying to get warm because your head is freezing, and it's amazing what that does. You can't think of anything else. And in a few minutes, you're asleep. Sometime in the middle of the night, you throw that off. It really is the most powerful thing that I've found. Another thing that works is a mental shift. You never think, oh, I've got to get to sleep because I've got to get up. It's important. If you're thinking that, you'll never get to sleep.
Yeah.
You can change your mindset. You're thinking, I'm resting. I'm not trying to go to sleep. I'm resting. And
Mm.
then you threaten yourself with a cold shower. You say, okay, if I don't get to sleep, if I'm thinking I want to go to sleep, then say, okay, do you want to get up and go take a cold shower? And you'll always say no. I've never had to do that. So you'll lay there and you think, no, I feel pretty good. I think this resting is better than going taking a cold shower. Now,
Yeah.
if you still don't go to sleep, get up and take a cold shower.
Yeah.
You will never do that again. Next time you'll stay in bed and go to sleep. And then you do a physical relaxation. You relax your toes, your feet, your calves, your upper legs, your butt. You go through your entire body and think my toes are relaxed. Then you get to your finger, my fingers are relaxed, my hands relaxed, my arms relaxed. So that once you finish your entire body, you just think, now I'm melting into the bed. Now, this may take 5 or 6 minutes, but it really helps you sleep. If all else
Absolutely.
fails, don't take a cold shower. That's really not a good idea. Don't take a hot shower. If you're going to get up and take a shower, you take a warm shower, one that feels good and relaxes you. So that's that segment. So we can move on from there.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a pause and let you know that we're coming back to wrap things up here on the Body of Health series here on Tell Me Your Story. We're here with Dennis Henson. I'm Reverend Dr. D. This is Body of Health on Tell Me Your Story, New Paradigms for a New World. Dennis, let's go ahead and wrap things up. It's been an incredible eye opener for me. We're uncovering everything from the cave effect, and I love that. It's wonderful, especially when you cool things down. To the ice cube trick, which we just talked about for those tough nights. And if our listeners want to dive deeper into these sleeping strategies or catch up on the other health topics that we've discussed, where can we send them on the internet to find out more?
Well, thank you, Richard. If they want to find out about this program or the highlights of the other programs that we've done, they can go to dennisjhenson.com. The tab up in the center of the page, it's the health tab. There's real estate and several others, but you click on the health tab, and it has a summary of all our programs that we've done together. It's got great recipes for some of the things that we've talked about. And even if you miss a program in the future, you can keep coming back and see the synopsis of the programs, and there's no catch. It's free. The whole thing is about helping people. And if you'll do the things we talked about today, I hope your life will change because you're sleeping better and feeling better.
Well, what I can tell you is this program has not put me to sleep, so I won't be listening to this late at night trying to get some sleep, but it has given me a lot of great ideas in that regard, and we encourage folks to go to dennisjhenson.com. Dennis, we are going to continue this series, and we hope folks will join us again, and it's every Wednesday from 8 to 9 a.m. On the internet at richarddugan.com, but it's also on SoundCloud, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Spotify, and it's also on YouTube where you can watch these conversations. Dennis, we look forward to talking with you again next time.
Thank you, Richard. See you next week.
And until our next broadcast, podcast, videocast, love Talal, Jeanette, I'm still listening. Dad, be happy because I am. Smokey, I'll see you on the other side. Mike, thanks for being in my life and letting me be in yours. And to my dear friend Zorro, aho, aho.